All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to look at something you'd probably, never pick up for a bit of light reading, a US military standard. Sounds dry, right? But trust me, hidden inside all that formal language is this absolutely brilliant blueprint for what might be the perfect software user guide. So, we're going to deconstruct it piece by piece and see what it can teach all of us about making things clear. I mean, who hasn't, right? We've all been there. You're staring at this page of what feels like gibberish, and you're somehow even more confused than when you started. It's one thing when you're trying to assemble some furniture, and that's frustrating enough, but imagine you're dealing with really complex, critical software. In a high-stakes situation, a bad manual isn't just an annoyance, it's a massive failure. And that's exactly why getting this right is so important. So, here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the blueprint itself, the ultimate guide. Then we'll walk through the user's journey, just like the manual does. First, setting the scene, then the all-important first-time experience, moving on to mastering the software, and finally, what to do when things go sideways. Okay, up first, the ultimate user guide. And we're not talking about just any old help file here. We're talking about the official, government-issued blueprint that spells out, in painstaking detail, what a perfect manual needs to be. The military has a name for this, of course. It's the Software User Manual, or SUM, and its mission is crystal clear. Tell the actual, hands-on user how to get the software running and how to use it. The really key thing to notice here is the focus on that hands-on user. This entire document is built for the person in the trenches doing the work. And here it is. This is the cover of the source document itself. It's called a Data Item Description, or a DID. Now, what's really cool about this isn't just the document, it's the whole idea of a DID. Think of it like a recipe for writing instructions. It's a meta-manual, a guide that tells you exactly how to build the perfect guide. It's instructions for the instruction makers. Okay, moving on. Before a user even thinks about clicking a single button, a great manual has to set the scene. It's all about context, the big picture. And the standard is incredibly specific about this. The overview can't just be a quick blurb. No, it has to lay out the whole story, what the software is, where it came from, who built it, who paid for it, and who you call when it breaks. Now, this isn't just fluff. It builds trust. It tells the user why this thing even exists. And, crucially, it flags any security stuff right from the get-go. And this all boils down to a really simple but powerful idea. Context is king. You just can't understand the how if you don't get the why and the what. A user who gets the purpose of a tool is going to be way more effective than someone who just memorizes a series of clicks. It's just that simple. Now for what might be the most make or break moment, the onboarding. How does the manual bring a total newbie into the fold? Well, the standard insists on a very careful, guided welcome. It assumes you know absolutely nothing. And just look at this journey. It literally starts with the basics, like here's the power button, this is a cursor. From there, it walks you through getting a password, installing the software, and finally, that first login. This is just a masterclass in user-centric design. The core principle? Leave no one behind. You build a user's confidence from the very first step. So, our new user is in. They've logged on. Now what? This is where we get to the real meat of the manual, the part that's designed to take someone from a complete novice to an absolute expert in their day-to-day work. What I think is so smart here is that the standard isn't rigid. It actually gives you two main ways to organize all the procedures. You could structure it to match the software's menus. So section 1 is the file menu, section 2 is edit, and so on. Or you could organize it around the actual tasks a person needs to do. This shows a deep understanding that different people think differently, and the documentation needs to meet them where they are. And the level of detail it demands is just wild. It's not enough to say what a button does. The manual has to explain how all the features work together. It has to define every little thing. What does a red light mean? What got a yellow one? You have to document every single function, every screen, and even what the software is doing behind the scenes. And then for the pros, there's a quick reference guide. It's built for both learning and for getting things done fast. But let's be real. No matter how good the software is, things are going to break. So the final, and you could argue the most important part of a perfect manual is the safety net. What happens when the user is in trouble? This table just lays it out perfectly. The manual acts like a first responder. You get a weird error message, The manual has to list every single possible error and explain it. The whole system crashes. There are step-by-step recovery procedures. Worried you lost your work? It covers backup and restoration. And for a real disaster, it explains emergency operating modes. It literally anticipates failure and gives the user a calm, clear path forward. So we'll end with this quote, pulled straight from the document. And yeah, I know, it sounds super formal, very bureaucratic. But let's just translate it into plain English. All it's really saying is that excellence comes from being intentional. It's about building instructions for a specific purpose, for a specific task. It's about respecting the person on the other end, their time, their intelligence, and giving them exactly what they need, right when they need it. And that kind of leaves us with this final question to chew on. In a world that is completely obsessed with slick new features and cool designs, we pretty much ignore the humble user manual. But after walking through this blueprint, you just have to ask yourself, is clear, empathetic, and truly comprehensive documentation the ultimate forgotten feature? The thing that really separates good tech from great tech? Makes you wonder what else we're missing, hiding in plain sight.